Okay, and I haven't found a video on this, but I found some information online that was helpful, but it's kind of hard to see in my mind what's happening. So let me just show you what I'm doing here. We're getting the differential carrier back in, and so the locker will engage and disengage through this wire, right? But there's also a sensor that tells you by the dash light that your locker is engaged, okay? Which is important to have. So this is the magnet in here, the electromagnet. This little plate right here slides to the left when the locker is actuated, okay? So there's a sensor inside your differential, and it's just a little plunger, and it's this little plunger right here. And this plunger has to be on, if you're looking into the differential like we are right now, it has to be on the left side of that ring, okay? So you can see it's spring loaded. It can, when you engage your locker, that ring pushes this out, okay? And that apparently closes a switch and then lights up your dash light and says your front locker is engaged, okay? So you can install your differential, and that ring, or that ring can end up on this side of the plunger. Then when it activates, it won't turn on your locker light, okay? So it's important to have that light on, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this little piece of, and I just used a Q-tip and cut it to size, and then I just attached some little super light safety wire to it, and we're going to set it up in here, and that's going to keep this plunger like that, okay, in the extended position. And then we can drop the differential carrier in, and then we'll pull this out with our wire. Pop, it'll go back on the right side of the ring. I mean the correct side of the ring. This mushroom head will actually be on the left side of that ring. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this open here, and you kind of set it on the top, because that's where you're going to want to pull it out. And then you're going to kind of ratchet your wire up kind of high. And you can use a toothpick, or I even thought about cutting a custom piece of metal and then having this, and I thought, I'm never going to do this again, and guess what? Here I'm doing it again. Okay, sorry, that's not in the very center of the picture, but you can kind of see the Q-tip piece there that's holding it in place. And this wire we're going to wrap up around, and then we're going to bring it up here, and then that way once we get the carrier in, we can and get the bolts in and get them tightened down, we can pop this out, and then this little plunger will retract on the left side of the ring, on the correct side. Okay, good. So just so it's clear what's happening here, you won't be able to see this. I tried to video this in the past when I've done this, but I couldn't get a view because this is so far behind the differential carrier. So what's going to happen is you're going to put your carrier in, you're going to put your caps on, you're going to tighten your bolts down, and then once that's all done, you're going to pull this up like this and pop. That mushroom head, that plunger is going to retract onto the correct side of the ring. Okay, now we're not talking about the ring gear, we're just talking about that little sensor ring. So basically I'm putting it on top, on the top edge, not in the front, not in the back, not in the bottom, on the top of this little shaft, and then pushing my wire straight up and then kind of forming it along the top of the housing, and then out and around and hooking it out here. That way, if I'm jacking with the carrier here and I'm not getting it in easily, I don't bump it and it pops out and then I have to start all over. And I don't pull carriers often like a lot of guys do, but I have dropped one time, and I haven't dropped this one, but one in the past out of an old Dodge pickup. It kind of scared me. It could have smashed my, my arm or whatever because I was laying on the ground. So I just kind of put this little crate here, this little box, and that was kind of the right height. So, and I was able to control it and feed it out and then set it down right here. They're not exactly light, and I'm not a super strong guy, obviously, but this allowed me to kind of control the shims and keep everything in place so nothing like went flying everywhere. Okay, so it's really hard to get a light in here and the camera and everything, but hopefully this is going to come out in the camera here. We're going to pull the wire, and hopefully we can see what's happening here. Okay, so hopefully now you can see how this plate right here, that plunger's on the left side of it. Okay, the mushroom cap, or the cap of the plunger, is on the left side. Okay, good.